Everyone, I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick coming to you live on KREM 2 Plus for this Weather Impact Alert Day on this August 13th. Today, not necessarily about the heat, but actually the high fire danger. So we'll jump right into our forecasting here because we do have red flag warnings issued across the region. So we start there. It is all of eastern and central Washington that are under red flag warnings today. That is the alert that represents critical levels of fire danger for our region. This due to the dry and windy conditions. It is usually the wind speeds that correlate to that higher fire danger. And we're already noticing wind gusts getting into that 25-mile-per-hour range as we approach noon today and could accelerate into the 35-mile-per-hour range by this afternoon. Now, those wind speeds not necessarily strong enough to cause any damage in their own right, but is enough to elevate the fire danger conditions to critical levels. This alert goes from noon to 9 p.m. today, and we match that with our weather impact alert day as well. Again, the impact here, critical levels of fire danger, and it's at the critical time of the summer season as well. As we enter the second half of August and into the first few weeks of September, that is usually about our 4-week stretch where the fire conditions can be at their worst, really because the summer seasons are dry season. So all of the fuels from the grasses to the forests and the trees have now all dried out and is primed for fire conditions. So that's why it is, again, critical is the word. Now, what you need to know is to exercise caution. And I know that's a vague statement, so I wanted to expand on that a bit more. That is all about fire prevention actions. Anything to mitigate our risk by any degree is going to help us out a lot, because a lot of wildfires are actually human caused. Well over half of the wildfires that we'll see on any given day are usually started by some kind of human-related activity. So when it comes to this, the number one thing is to follow those burn bans at the local and state level. That means no debris burns, no campfires, no bonfires. We've actually had issues with debris burns already in the early summer. Hopefully we do not see that case today. Other things to remember, and really it's what not to do. Don't throw out cigarettes into vegetation. Don't park your car on dried grass. And make sure that those chains are not dragging beneath your car or truck. All of these things can be the spark for new wildfires. And that's what we want to prevent, especially on a day like today. This goes for any day of the summer season, certainly. But when our wind speeds are stronger, those first embers and flames and sparks can oftentimes go out of control very quickly because of these wind speeds. So that's why we say exercise caution and make sure that you're still engaging in all those fire preventative activities. So today, wind speeds up to 35 miles per hour right in the middle of the day, noon to 9 p.m. to match the red flag warning criteria, and then things will calm down quite a bit more for tomorrow. What we've seen so far this morning is already a bit of smoke in the air. Have you noticed it? I certainly did at around 7 to 7:30 this morning over Spokane. Still getting a few calls into our newsroom about this, so I want to make sure to answer this question. Yes, it is smoky outside, or at least hazy, and it is because of a wildfire that is on the western side of the state. This is the Bear Gulch fire over the Olympic National Forest, and the smoke trail has gone straight eastward, and now it is over the inland northwest, primarily for eastern Washington. So most locations noticing at minimum a bit of haze. I noticed it was pretty smoky early on this morning, but it has thinned up at least a little bit. The image you see here is just after sunrise between 6 and 7 a.m. The most recent update on our weather satellite, it is a bit thinner. You can still see that smoke trail, but it's not quite as thick as it was earlier in the morning. But you are still noticing some hazy skies, especially between Coeur d'Alene and Moscow. Looks like North Idaho is picking up a bit more. So again, that is from a single wildfire way out on the west side, about 250 miles away. And of course, any new wildfires that would or could start today would also do the same. They would pour out a lot of smoke in this type of environment with higher wind speeds. That's effectively what is happening here. This was the picture I actually took from our outdoor weather center at about 7:30 this morning, looking east at that rising sun, which was just that really dirty orange in the sky because of this layer of smokiness. Thankfully, it is not hitting our air quality all that bad. Air quality still remains good, so the smoke is kind of more in the upper or mid layers of the atmosphere and not on the ground where we're really feeling it or breathing it in that case. So no air quality concerns, at least not yet, from that one singular fire, but we are noticing the smoke. It is that fire over the Olympics. There's also another in Vancouver Isle. That's the Mount Underwood fire in British Columbia. Both of these fires are producing smoke, and along those westerly winds, which blow from the west to the east, is blowing that smoke in this direction. What is happening is as that first layer of smoke crosses the Cascades, the mountains actually push it up and more into the air. So that's why it's not on the ground and giving us air quality concerns. But since they are burning more aggressively, notice how the wind speed's a little bit stronger on the western side of the state already. That's why those fires have picked up a bit more in intensity and aggression in terms of the fire. The Bear Gulch fire, by the way, about 7,000 acres in size, only 3% contained. And on a day like today, it is going to burn a bit hotter and a bit more aggressively in this environment. We are lucky in the inland Northwest that some of our recent fires, like the Hope Fire and the Lake Spokane Fire, for example, basically been contained, if not completely quashed out at this point. So some of those fires, especially in Stevens County, not active at all, not producing any kind of smoke or embers or whatnot. But notice that the wind speeds have started to pick up. As of this Wednesday, as of 11 a.m., we already have wind speeds of 24, 25 miles per hour, which is just at the low end of that forecasted range, and it should actually still increase and accelerate into part of the afternoon hours here. When we look at the smoke forecasting, first of all, the model does pick up on those two fires that I mentioned, like the one in the west side. It is saying that there will be occasional smoky skies, not just today, but even tomorrow as well. This is actually about 5 p.m. Thursday evening tomorrow, and it does have another layer of smoke or a plume of smoke that will pass by. I still don't think that's going to hit the air quality all that bad, but you might notice a bit of smoke again from one or two fires on the western side of the Pacific Northwest. So that is what we're keeping an eye on, and there may or may not be any local concerns if new fires are sparked. Temperature-wise, still hot for today. Low to mid-90s, much like it has been for the first half of this week here. Not quite as hot as Monday or Tuesday, so that's why our weather impact alert day is not necessarily focused on just the heat. This is kind of a normal summer heat for us. It is still mid-August after all, but the winds make that a bit more of the priority. The average is 85, so we're just 8 degrees above that in comparison. Now we take you to the weather map here. So we'll show you the storm system responsible for the winds, and it is a cold front. Today is going to be the last day of this heat wave, last day of temperatures in the 90s, of which Spokane will have 4 days in a row. Now this cold front is another one of those dry storm systems, hence the red flag warnings in the first place, hence the heightened fire danger as well. So higher winds and no rain on a hot day is absolutely the reason why our area has this critical fire danger. You'll watch that cold front pass through and no rain heading our way, not tonight or tomorrow. The follow-up storm system, which will be around Friday and Saturday, that is looking a lot more impressive in terms of the rain and the moisture. It will cool off the area quite a bit heading into the weekend. Highs should only be in the 70s for Friday and Saturday. The only question at this point is how much of that rain are we actually going to get, because the west side is going to get rain, but the Cascades could wring out a lot of that moisture before it arrives in Spokane or eastern Washington. It's called the rain shadow effect. It basically is the reason why central Washington can be so dry. So if you're making plans this weekend, it is looking okay, especially on Sunday. You might just have to dodge a few rain shower chances on Saturday morning. So one quick peek at your 7-day forecast. Again, the focus is on today's weather, not necessarily the hottest day that we've had this week, but definitely the windiest. 93 degrees and decently strong winds, which means that we do have, again, critical fire danger conditions. Red flag warnings in effect from noon to 9 p.m. today. So make sure that you are just being cautious and not engaging in any fire-creating activities. Any fire prevention is going to do us good today. But we will be monitoring that situation and any new fires that could pop up today. Our KREM 2 team We'll be on it all day long. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. You can always give me a follow on social media where I'll be monitoring the situation there. I'll be on KREM 2 News at noon in just a few minutes as well. And you can always stay connected with the latest local news at KREM.com. Have a great and safe day, everyone.